Hi, I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery in Indianapolis, Indiana.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Southgate, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Hey guys, we've loved answering all of your questions so far. If you'd like to hear your question on the podcast, please send them to us on Instagram at Wheel Talk Podcast or by email to wheeltalkpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks.
Boom.
Boom shakalaka.
Boom shakalaka, boom shakalaka, boom. We be live.
Yes, we're live.
We're live.
I need to put some WD-40 on this damn chair.
Yeah, you do.
Every time I hear it, I'm like, damn, they're going to hear that.
You can hear everything in my apartment, which is on wheels. But so how are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing well. Let's see. I was trying to think of what happened in the last few days since we talked. We didn't talk in the last week, right? I mean, we talked on the phone for a few minutes, but
Yeah, no, we didn't talk. We didn't record last week.
yeah. So my parents came in town over the weekend, which was great. It was kind of a sort of a Christmas birthday gift for my grandfather. Every time we come to Christmas time, my parents are like, "What are you getting your grandfather? What are you getting your?" I'm like, "He's old. Like he doesn't need anything." So usually it's like get together,
An outing.
Yeah. So they came up and we went to a hockey game on Friday. I don't know if he's been to a hockey game in forever or if he's been. Period.
Oh my
in
God,
person,
I
but
bet he had a fucking blast.
he liked it. He was like, I could follow the puck for the most part, except when they were in certain spots.
Yeah.
Because it was so quick. But he was like, there's no shortage of action. Like it's
Yeah.
very, action packed, and yeah, I think he followed it pretty well. And then we went to a basketball game at NKU, which is my alma mater, that is literally 2 minutes from the house.
Right.
So we went there on Saturday. But yeah, so they came up and that was
Ryan's
a good
dad
time.
and Ryan's grandpa are like sports junkies.
Yeah. My grandpa doesn't really like NFL though. He's not really a big football fan, so
Yeah, but your dad is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's more of a watching baseball and watching golf kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then my dad likes pretty much all of that stuff. I mean, they're not like soccer or anything like that, but like baseball, football, basketball, college basketball, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they were in, we did all that, and I think that was pretty much the weekend. And then the only other update I had was I did some. Oh, so while they were in, randomly on Thursday or Friday, I like posted about this batch of work that I just got back from the gallery.
Oh, I saw that.
And then I did a couple posts. So I did like a sporadic, like random post saying I had mystery boxes. And the thing is, I said I got some new pots that were going into mystery boxes. I still always have mystery boxes available on the shop because I always have extra pots. And then I was just like, hey, I got these things back from the gallery from 2022 and I'm putting them in mystery boxes. Get some while they're available. And I just upped the quantity to like 20 or something. And then they started selling like crazy. We were at the hockey game and Rachel's now got the app signed in on her phone because she's been helping me with shipping in the last week or two.
Yeah.
And every time we got it, she's like, cha-ching, cha-ching. So I kept getting a lot of orders. We packed up 15 orders on Friday.
Oh my God.
After the hockey game. My mom was helping and Rachel was helping. And then I was getting, a lot of the names and writing thank you notes and stuff like that. So
That's amazing.
We did 15 Friday and then another 8 or 9 on Sunday.
Wow.
And then we did maybe 5 or 6 on Monday. So I think in total it was like 28 before yesterday. And I think I sold a couple more. So it's been great. I did not expect that. But that's a way for people out there right now. If you got some stuff left over.
Yeah.
We've said this before, but mystery boxes.
January is a great time for mystery boxes.
Yeah. So I have pots gathering dust. I got boxes of planters around that I need to get in there. I mean, I'm not giving everybody 3 planters or 4 planters all at once because it's like, who would want that? But I'm
Yeah.
mixing it up, and still have the option on there for seconds are fine or no seconds, so people
Yeah.
kind of get that option, so I can get rid of some of that work. And it's just nice to, I mean, I don't really care about the influx of cash. I care more about the getting things out.
Out.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely been worth packing. I mean, it's a lot of packing, but that's where I'm like, hey, Rachel, if you can help me with packing this year, that would greatly help.
Yeah.
So that's been really good. That's been the main thing happening in the last few days. And then I've just been throwing new pots. So
That's awesome. You sell the mystery boxes for $50?
$50, and it's 3 to 5 items. I wouldn't say most of them are 3 to 4. I don't think I packed any with 5, just because I try to fit them in that 10 by 9 by 8 box.
Yeah.
And that's pretty manageable size to fit 3 or 4 pieces in. So yeah, $50. It's kind of a get rid of it price, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, that's still really cheap. I could probably price it at 60 and the stuff's valued at 75 or whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was a good price. And there's some stuff like spoon rests. I was flipping some spoon rests over some saucers. They're like 2019 on them. I'm like, jeez, I still got these. But they still look good, but it's like back before I had the stamp, so I'm like hand writing them, and then I put the 19, so I'm like, oh my gosh, these are so old.
Yeah.
But did you have some mystery boxes before you got rid of the studio, like a studio sale when you were getting out?
I had jewelry mystery boxes.
Jewelry mystery.
I didn't do, like, which studio? The big studio?
No, the one that you did most recently. How did you get rid of all the tumblers and everything or did you just keep them so that
I have
you
them
could
in
have
my
some
van.
you kept them for ClayCon West for the most part, right?
Yeah, and then, but I didn't even put them out for Click on West, really. I put some out. I have a show this weekend. It's a art by design, and it's at the Seattle Design Center, and it's the first year for this show, which I didn't know, but
What's the Seattle
It's
Design Center? What does that mean?
I don't know. It's
Is
a
that like
place
a-
in Seattle called the Seattle Design Center.
Oh.
Artsy place, I guess.
Is it like an event venue?
I don't know.
Huh.
I
okay.
literally have no idea. and so I think it's someplace that they do events at, and they have the Seattle sample sale
does
this
that
weekend
mean?
too. I also don't know, but I assume that it's like samples of things, maybe food. I think it might be food.
But it's a sale
And
though.
they could be selling food.
Okay. Samples makes me think of free. Maybe you pay a ticket. Or
I don't know, but it's at the same time at the same venue, so it's a first year show, but it's at a venue where a very existing, very popular show is.
Oh, okay. So they're gonna
So
double
I think
dip
it should
in
be
there.
good. Yeah.
Is it
and
paid admission?
yes, I don't know.
The kind of questions I'm asking you, maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Maybe I shouldn't ask them. I don't know. These are the thoughts that go through my mind when I'm
I
coming.
just found out that it was a brand new show 3 days ago. So
Okay. Is it an expo center show kind of vibe, you think? Maybe this is another question I shouldn't ask you.
Hold on. The Seattle.
All right, go for it.
The sample sale, Seattle Design Center.
What if it's like fabric samples?
It's not.
It's at the design center.
Find a designer. Showrooms.
Food samples sounds a little interesting at the design center. Maybe I just got this thought of what the design center is, and it sounds like it's like a really cool modern or mid-century place.
Right, that's what you would think.
That's themed. That's really cool.
It says,
to host
come
events.
shop participating showroom sample sales and see art from 45 local artists. And guess what? When you scroll down, I'm the first motherfucking artist. Like, I'm the only artist on this. I like literally my picture.
What are the
that
other
is
vendors?
blurry.
What kind of vendors are they?
Art, like art.
Like fine art?
I think so.
Oh.
And
The way they worded that a second ago when you said that made it sound like they're curating rooms for like decor, like home decor.
the
Like,
Seattle sample sale, I think, is all week. I think it's Thursday, Friday. Okay, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then, what is the sample sale? What is the Seattle sample sale?
It's a triple S, Becca.
S cubed. Nobody knows what a sample sale is.
Has it been around that long if people don't know what the hell it is?
Yes, I think it's been around.
It seems like there would be photos from past years on the website. So you get an idea.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, do you have enough work for it?
I have plenty of work.
Okay, that's great. I know you had to restock some small cups.
It's discounts on designer furniture, lighting, rugs, and more.
Okay, so it is kind of what I was talking about. It's not food. It's, well, I said fabric. That's not
It's
true,
like design samples.
Designer, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
like display models.
yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So it'll be like expensive ass people there probably.
Hopefully. Or there's a lot
Like
of
fancy
lookers.
thing.
Like we go to that one convention center sale, that mid-century design fair or whatever that you pay ticket for, and you just walk around and see all the prices on the ridiculous mid-century furniture, and you're like, I am not going to buy that, but it looks cool.
Right. Well, you go to look. A lot of people go to buy.
I'll get a lemonade, and that'll be good.
I will purchase a lemonade. A lemonade. Also, I got a new cat litter box today.
Yeah, why is that?
Highlight of the day. My litter box is humongous. Like the one that I used to have now is quite large. And it was the one that I had. I got it off of Amazon and I didn't realize how big it was, and I got it and I was like, here we go. It's fine. But what was great about it was that it had like a door, a flappy door, and also a vent on the top, so it didn't smell at all when the door is closed. Super nice.
What's the vent for, though? Wouldn't the smells come out of the vent?
It's like a vent with a filter on the top.
Oh,
you know?
so you put like a little...
like a thingy in it.
Fabric sheet or something on the top?
Yeah, a fabric sheet would be a great idea. I'm going to do that. And so I was at Fred Meyer's today, which is like Kroger. It is Kroger. Just better. And
West Coast Kroger.
West Coast Kroger, and it's got like way better clothing, way better everything. Anyway,
Kroger's not really known for clothing, but okay.
yeah, it's got like clothing and shit. Anyway, so, and I saw that there was a cat box and it was like $30, and I was like, that's a lot of money, but it's half the size of my other one.
Did you get this one that you had in there before for the van?
No, I got it like 3 years ago.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so it's yeah. So now I have a place under my table to put my legs.
Okay. Yeah, that
Which is
box
nice.
is pretty deep. I mean, it was a foot and a half or 18
It's
inches.
a huge fucking box.
Yeah, that is 18
So-
inches deep, but yeah,
The new one
it
is
pretty
much
big.
smaller, and I'm hoping I don't know if Lloyd's been in it yet, but
Lloyd's pretty tall.
it's a pretty tall new box. It's a tall new box, but not as tall.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Hmm.
We'll see if he rejects it
Okay.
or not.
How are the cats doing since you left Utah? You made your trek up to Washington. How was that?
They're doing great. Lloyd's just chilling in the van. Some stray cats got into my van and peed on all of my stuff. That was a bummer. Peed on my dad and mom's old... this sounds so weird, but like the sleeping bag that my parents slept in when I was camping, when I was little.
Yeah.
When we were camping when I was little, I have it.
We talked
Or I
about
had
this.
it.
You said it's got the plaid on the inside, and people know exactly what
Yes.
one I'm talking about.
And it has been cleaned many, many times. It's not like they like used it and not cleaned it
Mm-hmm.
or anything. But I used it to cover the back door
Mm-hmm.
so that it would be a little bit insulated because we haven't gotten to that yet. And the stray cat peed on it, so I had to throw it in the trash.
Oh, the whole thing? Really?
Yeah, I can't. You can only wash them in a laundromat, and it's so old and it's got so many holes.
Yeah.
And like,
They didn't have any memories of that, or if they
it's
found
got
out, they
no
wouldn't
value.
be sad. Okay.
It needs to be trashed.
Okay.
And so it was just the last straw. So I got a new cat litter box. I got a new chair.
You did get a new chair. You're
The
sitting in
chair-
it right now.
I am sitting in it right now. The chair is fantastic.
You got better light too, apparently. I don't know. That fan is beaming right now, way more than it was before.
Well, the last time I wasn't plugged into any power, and so I
Oh.
couldn't use my overhead light because it takes up a little bit more power than I'd like.
Oh, that's your LED lights. Okay.
Did I ever give you one?
No.
I thought I gave you one with the... Well, I have it up here for you.
Oh, okay.
I have it chilling for you. I thought I gave you one.
No, I
With-
asked for one, but I figured you stored it in your studio or something.
Well, I thought I gave you one with the table that I sent to you, but I must have forgot.
I'll
So
get it
yeah,
soon. So the chair's it's like a hammock chair kind of.
it's a hammock chair, and it is wonderful. And like I can bend all the way back, and just like,
Mm-hmm.
and then I can bring the mic closer, like that, and I can just be in the chair.
You just look like you're falling asleep. Like I'm just keeping you awake.
I can just be in the chair. I literally sat in this chair just like this and recorded my solo podcast, and it was fucking great.
Oh, okay. So you were just like stream of consciousness, that shit. You were
Oh,
just-
I was basically high without weed. I was just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
You're literally thinking out loud.
yes. So that's
Okay.
that's the biggest news for the week.
So when you mentioned the cats peeing on your stuff, we had a situation when my parents left. Autumn jumped up. So I was like sitting in the papasan chair, and then Autumn jumped up in there after they left and was just sitting there and looking at us. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. She hopped up in there. It must be because it was warm from me sitting in there. And then Rachel looks at her and she's like, what are you doing? She squatted and she started fucking peeing on the papasan chair.
Dude, she's trying to tell you something.
And it went straight through the papasan chair, onto the floor,
Wow.
onto the carpet a little bit. So we went out to PetSmart and got some Nature's Choice, I think, or is that what
Yeah.
it's called? Something like that.
I would have
And
taken it out into the yard and hosed it down.
So we got that and sprayed it all over it, followed the directions, did the spray, the weight, the scrub, the dry it out, and then flip it over, did the same thing. That worked. It doesn't smell anymore, so...
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Because we can't throw that huge cushion in the washer. It's not feasible. It's like
No.
5 foot across or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that was about. So one of the cats has peed in that chair before, though.
It
I
was
don't-
Autumn.
It was Autumn, you think?
I was there.
So I don't remember why that happened before. I think she got the cushion. I don't know if she got the cushion from somebody or if she bought it new. I think she bought it new because,
No, she's doing that because she wants to tell you something.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was like, hey, clean up my fucking litter box.
Probably.
I don't know. And then one of the bad things is we were at PetSmart and looking at all the cats, and I was like, no, we can't get a third cat.
I swear to God, if you got a third cat after I was like, do you want to take Babs? I'd be so fucking pissed.
I want Babs needs to interact with the cats when she gets here.
But now Babs is here. She's not leaving this van.
But she can interact with our cats when she's here, though.
She can.
I feel like they'd be chill.
She's the cutest.
I feel like she'd be chill just sitting on a couch, sitting down somewhere, and the other cats would be like looking at her from across the room.
Yeah.
Marvel would not be happy.
No. No.
Not at all.
Lloyd, I walked out of Andrew's house today and looked across the street. Lloyd's in the neighbor's fucking like in their garage. Inside their garage, like eating their cat food. And I was like, Lloyd, get your fucking ass over here. Like,
did he come to you?
Yeah, he's up in his little.
But he came. He just came to you away from the food and stuff.
It took a minute of me being like, Lloyd, get over here.
Because you can't just run in their garage, right?
No, I didn't go in his garage. He came over.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
He came. He comes when he's called. After he's figured out his lay of the land. Like if it's a new place, he won't come when he's called. But if he's like been there for a while, and I call him, he comes.
Yeah.
So, got lucky with the cats.
We'll figure out a little cat door situation or something. You mentioned that.
Know.
It's kind of a joke, but I don't know. I mean,
no, I asked Andrew's dad if he would put it in a cat door.
How would you'd have to cut through the metal?
Yeah, but I'm going to have to cut through the metal in a lot of different places.
For what, though?
Fans, windows.
You're going to put windows in?
I might put windows in the top.
Oh.
I don't know. I would totally put a fucking sky roof in. If I could get a window,
but how much
sky roof?
How much temperature would be lost from a sky window? Like,
well, you can still put like
sunroof.
Temporary enclosures on it.
That's true.
Yeah.
But you'd want to use it at night, though? Probably?
Sky
so you
roof?
can see the outside? Or you'd want it just for sunlight during the day?
I don't know. Sunlight. I also want to get a little rounded window, like a little tiny rounded window, and put it at the cat's height.
Like a little
so
submarine window?
So they can stick their little heads out. You know?
That literally sticks out the side of the car so that they can just stick their head out like the little bubble backpacks.
Yes! Oh my god, how fucking cute would that be?
It would be pretty cute. I don't know how insulated that would be, but...
It's fine. It's like 4 inches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You gotta have windows. Plus, after this year, I'm not going anywhere that it's cold. I'm just gonna be in the warm all the time.
Well, I mean, you have a flexible schedule. You can schedule out where the shows are going to be or where you're going to be, so...
Maybe I'll move to Florida. I'm kidding.
You're moving to Utah like 2 weeks ago, and now you're moving to Florida?
I know, I'm still moving to Utah. Okay, what is our first...
Do you want to do a what would you do if?
Yes.
Okay. Our what would you do if is, what would you do if your glaze runs off of your pot and fuses the entire thing to the kiln shelf with or without kiln wash?
Are we talking like a 4-inch pot here?
Sure. Let's say a bowl.
A bowl. Well, if you have the advancers, it doesn't matter. Well, I would grind it off and turn the kiln shelf over.
Flip it over.
Yep, that's what I would do.
Yeah, definitely angle grind it. Would you, how do you get that off safely? Do you do like a wooden mallet thing, or do you just take a hammer and just smack, like... Because you kind of want to get it
chisel it
off
with a screwdriver. That's what I usually do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just right at the base, and you're just trying to chip the
glaze
seam
off.
of glaze.
Yeah.
Because ideally, if it's got a foot, it's not gonna go inside the foot, unless there's glaze on the bottom inside the foot, and it just fused that.
Yeah.
So you're just chipping away and then angle grind it off.
Yeah. I've never had to use an angle grinder.
Really? I've done it just to clean up. I mean, there's some glazes that I've had that, I guess, I don't know if crawling is the right word. Maybe.
Yeah.
where they kind of shrink off the pot and they just fall, where it's not really adhered that well.
Shivering. They
Shivering.
shivered.
Okay. So yeah, it fell on the
think.
kiln shelf, and there's just little spots of glaze. So
Yeah.
I've had to do it for that. Just, I've got bits of that, and then it comes time to grind a couple. I just grind all of them with any bits of glaze that got on there that I need to take care of.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, are you going to just dab kiln wash on that spot, or do you have to clean it somewhat and then kiln wash the whole thing?
That's why I turned the shelf over.
Okay. But if it had kiln wash on it and you flip the shelf over, is that risking...
I'd clean the
Kiln
kiln
wash.
wash off.
Okay.
But I only do, whenever I do kiln wash, I only do like the tiniest, thinnest layer and only once. So like, that
So
way
what's
it doesn't crumble. Because like
Okay.
when you keep applying kiln wash without grinding it off first, it just gets all crumbly and it's gross.
Yeah, that's like some of my big shelves I got.
I fucking hate that. So
It's not level at all. You're putting your kiln posts on the spots and you're trying to like make sure it's somewhat level, and it's not really because there's so much kiln wash just accumulated.
Yeah, some of your shelves are rough.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be getting some more shelves this year, I think.
Some more advancers.
Probably.
Yeah, they're pretty addictive once you got them.
Yeah. I got to figure out the size because a new kiln is coming into the mix.
Yeah.
So I got to figure out what's going to fit in the kiln and then which number of them I want and what I want to keep from what I have.
What kind of kiln are you gonna get?
I'm getting an L&L kiln, baby.
Where do you get that from?
Hotkilns.com.
Hotkilns.com?
Yes.
Did you say hotkilns.com?
Hotkilns.com.
Why would you get an L&L kiln over any other kiln, Ryan?
Okay, so we talked about the elements last week. So the channels is my first and foremost. Definitely. Changing out elements, piece of cake.
What I talked about in my solo episode was the what I really like is that you don't have to crimp any of the elements once they're done. It's like an easy exchange because a lot of my older kilns,
Crimping
even some of the
them.
newer kilns, you have to like crimp the element with the wire,
Like condense it because it's not it's overstretched, or
No, you have to use a crimper to like connect them.
I gotcha. Yeah.
And the fact that you don't have to use a crimper is like, wow.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah. Have
Yeah.
you looked? I don't know if you've looked inside mine when I've done it, but I think I shared some video of that. It's just literally a screw, and you have the element out, and then you just bend it and wrap it around. So
Yeah, that's so nice.
It's not like male to male, and you've got to join a male to male with a bracket
Right.
that you got to crimp on both sides.
Yeah.
And then you have to
it's-
get a separate tool. I did get that tool because I had that for my other kiln, but the crimping and like how much do you crimp? Is it actually tight on there? Is it not? So
Right, you have to be a fucking superhero. Like, don't they know that potters have carpal tunnel? Like, you can't crimp that shit. Like,
and then
So-
you gotta clip it off regardless because you've always got excess, but then you're like, am I gonna put an eye out with this thing when I clip this and make sure it's the right length so that it matches right in the middle?
right?
So, that is nice.
That is really nice. And I always love, like, when you have to crimp it and then you accidentally mess it up, so then you have to cut it shorter, and then you have to put it on shorter, and then you're, like, running out of element space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that never happens with an L&L.
Nope, it doesn't.
No. Do you know what L&L you're going to get?
I'm getting the same one that I've got, which is a E28, not 28, E23T.
Okay, so 7
But-
cubic feet?
Yeah, but it's gonna have 3-inch brick instead of 2.5-inch brick.
Oh, nice. I have a 3-inch brick right now, and they insulate quite well.
What is that? What's the big difference in that?
It cools down a little less fast.
Okay. Does it change the speed at which it fires up?
No.
Well, okay.
Nah.
Have you had any which ones have you had that are 2.5 inch?
All of them.
All of them? Okay. My Olympic one has a 3-inch brick, and when we were talking to L&L about it, I was talking to Dimitri over there, and he was saying, it's going to be different size, so you got to adjust the, which shells you're using and stuff like that. But it'll be nice.
Oh, really?
Nice and easy. Well, because there's less. It's not the outer diameter that changes; it's the inner diameter. So it's the same shell. It's just they use a 3-inch brick instead of a 2.5-inch brick.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. I got a 21-inch shelf might be hitting the element channels, so I need to use a 20-inch shelf is what they have with it. So.
I have a 23-inch shelf in mine.
Okay, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got a really wide one. Okay.
I guess.
The one other thing I found out about the element channels that I did not know, I thought once they broke, you had to replace the whole brick and the channel together.
Yeah.
But I saw a way that on their site, they had some videos showing that you could take the ceramic channel and snap part of it off, and then you can kind of fit it back into the brick.
No shit.
Yeah.
I thought that you could not do that. That is a big seller.
Yeah, because occasionally I'll have ones that the element, I don't know what happens to the element. I guess it just melts or something. But there's little bits that get in there and then they melt and it corrodes through the channel.
I
so
see.
Sometimes you get a little hole. I mean, it's not enough that they're going to sag through it, but
right.
You don't want that extra metal on the channel. So
right.
But yeah, you can. I mean, you got to be careful.
You don't have to take apart the whole kiln to put in a new.
I mean,
channel.
it isn't banned, so you could take a brick out. But if you've ever replaced a brick in a kiln, it fucking sucks.
We will not be doing that.
I've done that a couple times just because the bricks have been iffy. I've only replaced, I think, one brick on my L&L, but I replaced them on the other kiln, and it's not the best because you got to do the band and take them out. But
so where are you gonna get your kiln?
Okay, find that L&L kiln at hotkilns.com.
Wow. I think we're killing it with these ads, really.
Yeah, I know. This is
Truly.
our second one. How did you do on your last one? How did you?
I think I did pretty good.
Okay, I'll listen for it.
Yeah, it's a little later in the episode because I forgot, but I remembered.
All right.
Anyway.
All right, we'll give you more L&L updates here as we go for sure.
Oh, damn it.
What?
Lloyd stepped on the fucking hazard lights.
Oh, I can hear him clicking. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting the new kiln. We'll definitely talk about it. For one, they're sponsoring the podcast, so we're definitely talking about it. But I'm definitely excited about getting this kiln. So figuring out these logistics and all that stuff is going to be nice.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. Looking forward to Nsika for sure. It's nice to be able to see people in person when you talk. It's, for one, other potters, but some businesses too. If they've supported you, it's nice to put a face with a name.
Yeah, for sure.
Besides just talking through a computer all the time.
100%.
All right. What else are we talking about today? Did you find the other one on there?
I thought we were doing the Instagram subscription ones, but you wanted to do that with.
Yeah, we're doing the other one at the top.
Okay, cool. As a beginner, what are some self-learning sources to learn the workings of a kiln to fire at home? That's earthbound.me.
Earthbound.me. Okay. Self-learning sources.
Where did you learn to fire a kiln? This is kind of what our episode's going to be on today.
Yeah, it's kind of like how we got into it and how we understood what we were doing with it. I definitely looked up some articles and some forums about venting your kilns, and I'm sure there was a Ceramics Monthly article I came across, because you're like, okay, I got this thing in the basement. Do I need to vent it? Do I not? And then you look up Clay. I think Clay Buddies was a decent place just to get like a high level understanding of what
Yeah.
questions I need to ask. And then when you get a sense of the different questions that you need to think about, like electricity, and then venting, and then schedules. How do you change elements? What are like witness cones? I mean, I kind of knew cones from my school days, but I would say schooling definitely gave me a good basic level of
Yeah.
understanding. It wasn't that in depth because I didn't load kilns and fire kilns at school that much. I might have loaded a couple kilns, like
Right.
electric kilns. But like the cone thing, I kind of learned that in school, but it wasn't too much about that. Like, I don't know, like that kiln wash and shelves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How did you learn like early on?
By messing up. I feel like, okay. I remember when I got that first Duncan that I got, and it was a kiln sitter, and I remember knowing about cones and like getting the cones and figuring, like I already knew about that, and I don't know where I knew about that. Probably from school, maybe from Larry Bruning. But I I like fired my kiln on fast as a bisque,
Mm-hmm.
and it turned off in 4 hours.
A bisque. Oh my gosh. Did
It
anything
turned
blow
off-
up?
No, it turned off in 4 hours, and I was like, that can't be right. Everything that I've read,
Why did you think that couldn't be right?
well, because I thought it would be like a really long firing. I just didn't know that I was supposed to do like low for 2 hours, medium for 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
fast for the rest. And I was like, this can't be right. And so I like turned on the kiln sitter again, like figured out how to turn it on and like left it on for like 2 more hours
Mm-hmm.
and then turned it off. I'm sure they got to like cone 7
Oh my gosh.
and they were,
But did you have a kiln cone in the kiln sitter?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I just completely disregarded it. I remember learning a lot.
The thing melted
About-
into the floor.
Yeah. I remember learning a lot about kilns from Simon Leach. He's got some great videos on how to like load a kiln. I learned the sand trick from him, like putting bisque in sand. If you want to stack bowls
Bisque
instead of,
in sand, not greenware.
I'm sorry, sand in bisque, an bisque firing. So like if you want to
okay.
stack bowls so that their rims aren't touching, but you want to stack them inside of each other, you can just put a little pile of sand in and then set the bowl on the sand and then put another pile of sand in the next bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So it has something to sit on, but it's not sitting on the rims. So it's not like,
Right.
moving in from the rims. So I learned that from Simon Leach. And I learned how to load a bisque kiln from Simon Leach. And those were all just YouTube videos. And I think that, same with you, I think that I just learned how to fire it from forums and like asking questions around,
Yeah, some of it's you don't know the terminology of what question to ask. So
Yeah.
You don't know. You don't know that it's called a witness cone, for instance. Maybe you
Right.
don't even know what cones are.
Yeah.
So and then you'll get a you'll say my firing did this, and they'll be like, well, where's your witness cones? Did you have witness cones in there? And you'll be like, what's a witness cone? So I think understanding those is important. Understanding the kilns. I mean, I would suspect you start with a kiln sitter kiln. And we've talked about that. That's probably the best way to get your bearings of understanding how a kiln works.
Yeah, unless you're in like retirement mode and you're like, I don't want to deal with something that I have to wake up for. And you have the money to buy a new one,
Yeah. So understanding you do have to understand what cones to get to go in your kiln sitter. So that's like the bare minimum of cones that you have to know. But, you should know about what witness cones are for, why you have 1 or 2 or 3. And there's plenty of YouTube videos about that. I'm sure Tim C has one. I think Josh made one.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of pyrometric cones, witness cones. Look that up and you'll find many videos about that.
I also feel like when I had to change out the elements and when I had to change out the relay is when I really figured out how a kiln worked. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
You like open it up and you're like, oh, that's what's going on.
Because there's no error codes when you got a kiln sitter. You don't know. You're shooting in the dark. You got to do all the tests. You're like, do I do a paper test here to figure out whether my elements are good and my elements are bad? If I definitely had some issues with firings where it takes for fucking ever. You don't know why. Like the last one was 10 hours and this one's like 13 hours pushing 14 and your cone is still not falling. You're like, it's the bottom's done. You're looking in. Hopefully you've got the pyrometric cones. You got the 3 in front of the peepholes so you can look in there and see what they're doing. And then, your bottom's done, but your top's not. It's like lagging, Maybe 6 is all the way down on the bottom, and then 5 is barely bending. And you're like, what is going on? Like, I just need to keep going. Maybe turn off the bottom and keep the top and middle going. And you just keep going and keep going and keep going. And then hopefully it works, but it might not even budge. And it's possibly because the element's not even working, right? And you're like...
agreed. Yes.
So you got to figure out what's going on. Is it the element's not working? Is it the relay? Which is the thing that tells the element to turn on. And like the frequency of how often to turn it on. And, is there something wrong with your knobs on the kiln sitter? Is there some electrical issue with the connection?
Yeah.
What were you looking at? What'd you find?
Well, all I did was I put in Lloyd. He's trying to get the treats that I put at the top of the shelf. All I did was I Googled how to fire a kiln. And the first thing is firing an electric kiln by the Big Ceramic Store. And so I put the link in our notes. But I think that if you just Googled how to fire a kiln, you're going to get a lot of information just from that.
Mm-hmm.
Can
we talk about the differences in...
Look at this! There's even a how to fire a manual kiln by hotkilns.com.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
Nice. What are the general high level differences of the manual kiln with the knobs? How do the knobs work and what are the knobs doing?
Okay, so knobs. So the knobs are each connected to a set of elements. Okay, so if you have 2 knobs on a kiln, you have 2 sets of elements that are being controlled at once, right? So like, it could be connected to 2 different elemental bands, 2 bands of elements, but it's like the top and the bottom,
section,
right?
Yeah,
so it's 2 sections of elements. That's the better way to say it. And when you turn the knob, what's happening is, so what a relay is important for is it turns it on and off. So when you turn it to low, it turns it on and off in a low setting. Now,
as in like the frequency, how long it takes between.
Yes.
Like I'm going to turn it on for 10 seconds and then I'm going to turn it off for 5.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to turn it on
when you hear the
for
clicking,
10 seconds and then I'm going to turn it off for 5.
Yeah, when you hear the clicking, that's your relay working. Now, it's important to know that your kiln is firing at high all the time, like a high temperature all the time. It's the exact same temperature that's being fired. It's just the variance of the relays that is controlling the temperature. So
you're saying when a coil and element is fully getting power, it's the same temperature
As low.
no matter which knob.
No
is
matter
turned
which
to what.
knob.
As long as the
it's-
knob is turned on.
Right. No matter which knob, it's just so it's always like we're just going to do a hypothetical. Let's say it's always at 300 degrees, but on low, it's only clicked on for 10 seconds at a time. And on medium, it's only clicked on for 30 seconds at a time. And on high, it's just on.
Constantly. It doesn't go
Constantly.
off. And those are just
Yeah.
hypothetical numbers. Those
That's
aren't
not real.
the hard and fast numbers, but
No.
you get the idea. On, and then it's off, and then
It's
it's on,
on,
and then it's off.
And it's off. Your oven works the exact same way. Yeah. Your oven at home, at least.
Yeah, so that's the
So-
knobs, and the reason that you would change the knob, like, why would you not go high immediately?
Right. Why would you not go high immediately? Because of the water and whatever you're working with in your... You want it to still
let's say
go
we're
up
talking
gradually.
let's say we're talking bisque firing first.
Bisque firing, right.
Your greenware.
Okay. So you have to make sure that you're boiling off the water at a lower rate. So like when I had a small Dunkin' that had 2 sections, I don't know about you, what you did, but when I had a small Dunkin', I would turn the lower knob on low and leave the upper knob off.
Mm-hmm.
And then that would go for 2 hours. And then I would turn the upper knob on low. So both knobs would be on low. And then that would go for 2 hours. And then I'd turn both knobs to medium.
Yep.
That would go for 2 hours. And then I would turn both knobs to high and then let it go. What would you do?
Yeah, I would do something like that. I think normally my bottom was definitely... For some reason, my bottom was always hotter than my top. I think. Or maybe it's vice versa. Maybe my bottom was... I don't know. I think it might have been vice versa. It might have been... I think it was... Let's just say it was vice versa. My bottom always was cooler than my top. So I would usually start... If it was a bisque, I might turn them on at the same time, but I might do the bottom one, the one that lags. I might turn that to like low and a half, like right between low and medium. And then the top one I might turn to low. But yeah, I might have did something where I turn it on low, nothing on the other one, and then let it coast for 2 hours or something like that. And then I would do an hour and a half. I would pretty much always, the one that always fired hotter, faster, I would keep it about half a setting lower.
Okay.
Every time I turn the knobs up.
That's not everybody's kiln, though.
But I just got to a state where I figured out that I could kind of get them both to the same temperature at the top temperature.
Yeah.
At a similar time. But I still might need to wait like 30 minutes between the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
And that might have been confusing the way I was explaining that. But once you figure out, I would say do them the exact same as you start. So you start with them, you turn both of them on low at the same time. See how that goes. And, a bisque firing, I might have been pushing 12 hours or 10 hours. Maybe 10 hours on a bisque firing, maybe more. I mean, it's a long firing, so you're not turning the knobs up a lot. But it's kind of incremental. Especially at the beginning. I think I was turning it. You get that the cooler section is right between low and medium, and the hotter section is generally at low. Like, you could leave it there for 2 hours or 3 hours and then turn it up. Like, it's going to be a long firing regardless. So, especially at that early stage when you're getting all that steam out before it hits boiling point, 212 degrees Fahrenheit, then you got to take that easy if your pots are not completely bone dry. So,
Yeah.
and you don't know what the temperature is unless you have a thermocouple or some kind of pyrometer to stick in there and tell what the temperature is. I was just coasting nice and easy. Because at that point you can't say, well, I'm going to go up to 185 and hold it. There's not really a lot of holds with a electric kiln. It's hard to like hold, or sorry, with a manual kiln, because you don't know the temperature in there. A hold is not really as feasible.
I would always hold my manual kilns.
How would you do it? Did you just keep them on the same knob setting, or did you like change them?
No, I would just the thing would drop, and then I'd turn it back on and hold it for 10 minutes, and then that's it.
Well, I didn't mean at the top temperature. I meant it like you would do a preheat on a electric controller kiln where you would go up to 185 and hold it for 3 hours.
No,
that's not really a thing with a.
I would just do it on the lowest, the bottom elements on low, and with the lid open.
Okay, and then it's just going to kind of graze past that 212 degrees maybe, but it might not even break 212 with both of them on low.
And with the window open, with the door open.
Yeah, so having the kiln open is letting heat escape.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got the bands, you got the knobs. I think loading the kiln just kind of came natural too. I did load some kilns in college, but it was the gas kilns, and they were on the carts that you like rolled in.
Yeah.
So that was completely different than a top loading kiln.
Yeah.
Because you're loading from the sides.
Yeah, I'm like really, really, really good at puzzles.
I fucking loved it. Loading those gas kilns.
Loading a kiln is just like loading a puzzle, you know? And the best way that Larry taught me kind of how to load is to, especially in those big kilns, but it applies to every kiln, you take your piece and you scoot it very slowly up towards to the other piece next to it. You bump it, and then you pull it back a 1/4 inch.
Are you talking about glaze loading, or are you talking about
bisque glaze loading, not bisque. But
glaze
like
loading.
When you're glaze loading, you bump it, you like touch the piece next to it, and then you pull it back. And that's like the tightest way to load a kiln. But I mean, when you're looking into it on top, it's easy to see. But I fucking love loading kilns. Yeah. And bisque loading, you know, I've always been on the more safe side of loading a bisque than most people.
Mm-hmm.
So.
How's that?
I don't tumble stack, really. I mean, I put things on top of other things, but usually there's 2 to 3 shelves in it. Some people don't even put a shelf in their kilns, you know?
I would never want to risk that. I would worry that I would like accidentally drop something into the kiln while I have all this shit, and then things would just come crashing down.
Yeah.
Like a house of cards. You accidentally drop something, and it's like the whole thing falls apart.
Ugh, it's the worst.
But you'd also have to make the same thing, and a lot of the same exact thing that fits so nicely, like rim to rim or butt to butt, and you can just stack them straight up.
Yeah, I still wouldn't do that. My rule is 3 stacked. That's enough.
3 stacked, even if it's like a spoon
bowls,
rest or a pinch pot. You only stack 3 high.
Okay, no. If it's pinch pots or spoon rests, I'll stack them like 20 high. I don't care.
Or garden stakes or something like that.
Yeah, like the small stuff I don't worry about, but bigger stuff that's important, no.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, generally, for the bisque kiln, I don't think it matters as much with the height of things that you're putting in what section of the kiln. You're just trying to fill the space. So, like, a glaze kiln, for me, I've found that it's better to put some, like, medium-sized things or slightly taller things on the bottom. Don't put spoon rests on the bottom.
Yeah, definitely tall things on the bottom.
So,
sure.
You know, if you've got mugs that are a typical 6-inch post, maybe, you know, get a good solid level of mugs down there. Because normally you've got your shelf at the bottom that your pieces are sitting on. So that's probably about level with the bottom element that you have in your kiln. And then if you have it vented, there's also air coming out the bottom there. And then ideally you want to span more than a couple elements. So you don't want to have it so tight that that heat is only dispersing to that shelf from one or two
Yeah.
elements, and that's it. So I think that's what I was doing when I was early on. I was, you go about a band and a half or so. So it's got two elements, and you don't ever have I didn't have a shelf right where a kiln band ended, like where my kiln stacked on top of each other,
Yeah.
and then the elements are in the middle of that band or some, so there's a gap of maybe 4 inches.
Mm-hmm.
I try to generally put the shelves between, like, in the middle of a band, not like right where a band met another band, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's as important, but I also learned, like, you can overfill it too with a glaze kiln. It's a little tougher for the heat to disperse if you put too many pieces in there.
Maybe with an old kiln.
That's what I'm saying with the kilns that are kiln. Like,
Okay.
the heat didn't disperse as well. And maybe that was just my kiln or whatever, or my firing cycle. But yeah, I think how full you fill your kiln is going to factor into how the heat disperses and how even the kiln firing is going to be.
Yeah.
What about
it should be noted that you should be taking notes too. I don't take notes, but I preach that you should.
Early
be like
on,
Ryan.
you should be taking notes.
Yeah, early
for
on.
Sure. What's the
Yeah.
reason for taking notes?
So you can notice the differences and really like understand the kiln. It's really important to understand your kiln and to, like when I was firing early on, the bottom of my kiln would always be like cone 4 and the top would be cone 5, or cone 5 on the bottom, cone 6 on the top. So I found out that the iron glazes worked better on the bottom, so I always put the iron glazes on the bottom and would always put the other glazes on the top. It's like you have to like kind of develop almost a relationship with your kiln.
Yeah.
If
There
you're
are
firing
certain
it
colors that
consistently.
will look better in certain parts of the kiln. And mostly that's
Yeah.
just because every kiln is not firing exactly perfectly dead on the exact same cone throughout the entire kiln.
I mean, unless it's a Blau kiln.
So, I mean, you have some variance there that you could play with. How you load it is a variable. How full you load it is a variable.
Yeah.
How upkept are your elements? Are they on their last leg? They're probably not going to fire as efficiently and as well. Or
What do you
consistently.
think? What do you think was the What do you think was something that you like were surprised about when you were at the beginning? Like, is there something that you remember thinking like, wow, I wouldn't have expected that, or if something was easier than you thought, or something was way harder than you thought?
Specifically with kilns?
Yeah.
I think the simplicity, once you open, you say your elements go out and you actually have to replace it. I think understanding the simplicity behind the box makes it seem so
Scary.
that it's like, oh, there's important stuff and there's intricate things inside here. That once you pull the box back and you open it, you're like, it's really just 2 wires and then like a control thing that they plug into. So it's,
like A to A, B to B, C to C,
it's
D to
not
D.
really that complex. Like, I get it when you open a electric kiln with a controller, like it's more complex because there's more things going on. There's a motherboard and all these different pieces stuck together because they've got to communicate with the computer. But the manual kiln for sure is less complex than I thought.
I felt the same way, and I also feel really lucky that we both feel lucky that we both started on manual kilns, because when you open it up, you're like, oh, that makes sense. And then when you're working on the big ones that are more expensive and more complex, you're like, this is easy. I was just like flabbergasted at how easy it is to change out a thermocouple. It is like the easiest thing to do.
It's
on the
literally
planet.
2 wires that are usually screwed into a thing.
Yeah.
And you just make sure the wires go into the right port.
Yeah, it looks so scary, and it's just not.
and you just pull it out. Like, I mean, it's probably screwed in to hold it in place, but it's literally just sticking inside the kiln and just resting.
Yeah.
So it's not really that complex.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you think it would be intimidating for somebody that just has an electronic controller kiln and has not changed the elements out that they open the, you know,
I think it would be. I mean, like, I would be a little bit intimidated, you know?
from
Unless
the
I had a really, like, mechanically inclined mind, it would be difficult.
yeah, from the different kilns that you've had, and this can be an unbiased question. We don't have to prompt L&L kilns here, but are there insides that you've had to change elements out that are more intimidating than others
I
or less intimidating?
Well, I can tell you what the worst was. The fucking worst was the Crusader kiln. My God.
That's the one that had the huge box that spans the whole height of it. It's a single body kiln, is that right?
Okay, yeah, the Crusader kiln is a single body kiln, and then on the box that has all of the element controllers and the knobs, like all of the relays and everything, is a mesh wire box that spans the entire length of the kiln, and there's 7 knobs. There might be 6 or 7 knobs, and it is infuriating because you like pull it out and you only have like 2 inches to like work on all the stuff.
Oh, because
on the inside.
it literally just turns like 45 degrees open and that's it? Or
Yeah.
90 degrees maybe?
Yeah,
Oh, man.
it's the worst.
Yeah, that is tight.
It was the worst. And it was like, and it's one of those crimper situations. Ugh.
Yeah. That's like they try to put it in such a small box so it takes up less of a footprint, but it's a bitch to work on.
And like every single time I turned the knobs on, it sparked. And I was like, I'm going to start a goddamn fire.
You're like, I hope there's enough ceramic blanket into this casing here to...
Yeah, it was so stressful. So that was the worst. I would say the easiest... I think any brand new kiln is easy.
Okay.
I think they've all figured it out in a way that is like approachable. What I love about the Scut is that it, I keep in mind I don't have a Scut anymore. It has numbers on all the wires, and it's like hook it into this, and it just like plugs right into the socket, and it's very easy.
Yeah.
It is a little bit difficult with Scut specific. I don't know if any other ones are like this. I think they are. You have to make sure you have the right elements in the right places. So like the hotter elements go on the bottom and the top, and the medium elements go in the middle.
Oh, they're different elements.
They're different elements, so they fire hotter at the top and the bottom because that's where you're losing most of your heat. And so that's kind of important to know. And if you didn't know that, it could be a bad thing. I had no issues. I don't know if I even changed out the elements in the Olympic kilns. I think I got away with not having to change those elements, and I feel really
I've changed
good
them
about
out. Did you have one where it's in multiple bands? Or was it a single body one?
that.
Oh, you had the
No,
oval one, right?
I had the oval one, and that was an electronic box. Yeah. I had
Okay,
the
but
oval one,
but
and
it
I
had the
tiny
different
one.
bands per. Did they have a cord that had
Yeah.
male, female? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
so
mine
it had
has.
3 sections of the kiln. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if mine. Yeah, mine has 3 sections, and so the top has a plug that's a male that plugs into the female of the controller box, like the central one.
Yeah, below it.
And then
yeah.
the bottom one has a cord coming out of the bottom band that male to female into the central side as well.
Yeah.
So that's how they all communicate with the controller.
What I loved about the Scut, the cone art, and I think L&L's the same, is that they all hook together. They have little hooks and they clamp down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Olympics don't have that, so they don't have the little clamps. So like the oval was always shifting on me. I'd always
Mine
have to
shifts a little bit the Olympic, but I think that's just because I got an older one that the thing's rusted. The things that fit together that it probably had like a little strap, and then there's a post that goes in the strap to match them up, but it rusted and corroded and fell off. I mean, I got mine used, so I don't know how old it was, but
yeah,
it didn't have that.
Yeah.
Are the other so the one thing I like about the Olympic did have the crimp situation that made it a little bit more difficult, but
yeah,
it was when you opened the sides, it is just the elements for the most part there, and then all of the electronic stuff. There is a little more electronic stuff inside the middle section, I think, when you have to replace the elements there, but I like how there's separation between this is element and this is like mechanical stuff, and then the computer stuff is separate.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go into the computer section if you don't need to, because there's already cords coming out from that section.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like straight up screwdriver or wrench, and that's all you need to worry about. You're not worrying about messing up the motherboard and stuff like that.
Yeah. Also, something I will say about the newer kilns that's really nice is that most of them, I would say L&L, Conart, and Scut. I don't know for sure about Olympic. I'm going to say no on Olympic. They have full body front computers where all the elements are intact and all this stuff, but they have a little door. It just like opens up. You know, like it's on a hinge, and so it just opens up so you can get to all of the stuff inside very easily. And like Olympic never had that. It was just like you have to take the whole box off.
Yeah,
you know?
You have to take the 4 screws out and pull the box off, and then make your changes, and then screw
and then
the
it's
box
like
back on.
hanging, and you're like, "Fuck!" And like,
yeah. Well, I just unscrew, but yeah, it can be a little. There's not a hinge, and I think the L&L, once I remove the element connections to the box, like once you unscrew it, you just pull a couple cords off. Once you get those pulled off there, and I think maybe the thermocouple, then you can just take the whole door off and just set it aside.
Yeah. Well, the old L&Ls, I think did they come out at an angle? I can't remember, but I know that the new ones come out like they are open like a little door.
Yeah, it swings like 90 degrees, and you can get in there.
So that's really nice. What I would say is that it'd be really fucking great if they weren't on the same side of the plug. That would be fucking awesome.
Same side of the plug. What do you mean by that?
The door opens on the same side that the plug's on, and if you think about it, the plug is always going to be closest to the wall. So when you open up the door, you're smushed between the wall and your box, trying to get into your fucking box. Like, if we could just open it up from the other side, that'd be fucking great. Like,
but imagine if where's the plug coming out? If the plug was coming out toward the wall and you opened it into the wall, then the plug would hit the side of the kiln body and you wouldn't be able to open it very wide.
well, I don't know what to tell you about that, but I'm still
The cord would have to come
about
out of the bottom, I would guess, to not obstruct whichever direction you want to open it.
You're right.
But I'm trying to think of how mine does, but I think, well, it doesn't matter. You should be unplugging the kiln anyways, unless it's hardwired, right?
Mine's hardwired.
Okay, well, you can't do that.
But I still have to, like, smash between the fucking wall and the kiln, and it is terrible.
Yeah. You know what I'm getting with mine? I'm getting a rolling stand.
I hate you.
You got free range around your kiln right now. You've got 360 degree access to your kiln.
That's true, I do. But it only holds 4 cups. What else do we think? Let's see. We're kind of getting off topic. We're giving more advice than actually, like, figuring out where to find the advice. I think Digital Fire would probably have a tutorial on kiln loading.
Yeah, I think there's probably been a lot of kiln loading information through Ceramics Monthly over the years.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some written articles on Ceramics Monthly about kilns and loading, and I think one thing I learned early on with that, and maybe this was just because my kiln firing consistently, but understanding that half shelves are actually like beneficial with loading it
Yeah.
versus just straight full shelves everywhere.
Yeah.
So it disperses the heat. If you put
them offset.
offsets, so maybe you do a 4-inch post at the bottom on one half, and then you do an 8-inch post next to it for the other half, and then you've got 4 inches of overlap for the next shelf. So the heat can kind of disperse through, and then you can adjust and figure out how you want to organize the rest of the kiln. But I think I learned that early on, and then that helped me like load my kiln more effectively,
Yeah.
so I can get more even heat. Because I hate being stuck with a full shelf, especially when you're like, I've only got 3 or 4 bowls at this height, or maybe you have some shallow stuff like plates or or maybe a few taller pieces. You probably don't want to put a whole shelf with just taller pieces, and then you have a bunch of headroom for the bowls that go on the same shelf with it. You want to put another shelf on top of that bowls. So,
See, I disagree with you on that because I've always had full shelves and I love them.
do you?
But yeah,
Do you
we
see
did have to
benefit
get one
in half shelves?
half shelves. Yeah, I see a benefit in the half shelves in the top of the kiln, not in the bottom.
Not in the very bottom, but yeah, normally when I load my kiln, I load the first shelf I put in there above is a full shelf.
Yeah. I think it might also have something to do with how short I am. It's just a pain in the ass to load a kiln regardless. So like, I've always just loaded them with full shelves, and then usually in the top 2 shelves are usually half shelves because they're off center a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we only have one half shelf in my studio. Sarah and Merritt were like, "We need a half shelf," and I was like, "You know what? That's fair."
Yeah.
So they got one, but I use it sometimes, but I don't need it usually.
Yeah, I would agree that generally half of the kiln and up is kind of the space for those half shelves.
But we're also the oddity in the sense of we make literally the exact same thing all the time.
I wouldn't say that's an oddity, but I mean, a lot of people probably have similarly tall things, right?
Yeah.
I say there's a lot of people that make things that are within 6 inches height that you could fit a lot of 6-inch posts.
Yeah.
Like you could fit bowls in that. Maybe the bowls are 4 inches and you got 6-inch posts. Like, okay. And then maybe you got, a bunch of mugs that go around the bowls or cups or whatever. So, how much headroom do you usually have for your pieces before the next shelf? Do you take it pretty close, or do you think it matters as much?
If I can get it within the half inch, I will.
Okay. So if you have a mug that's 5.5 inches, you're just going to put a 6-inch post in there. You're not going to put a 7-inch post.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you?
Same.
Okay.
I mean, and I usually just always glaze plenty of work. Glaze a lot of work, throw a lot of work so that I have plenty of... I'm not rushing to get bisque kilns turned over and glaze kilns turned over, so I always glaze and make way more than I need so that I can have the flexibility to choose what I want to put in there or what I don't want to put in there. I don't want to be... And I generally, for a bisque kiln, I'm stacking pieces. I'm putting bowls rim to rim. I'm putting a tumbler or a mug inside the bowl, or I'm putting spoon rests inside the bowls and stacking them rim to rim, or I'm putting an oil bottle. Like, I'm getting as many pieces as I can fucking fit in that thing.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have an issue where I'm like, okay, I got this kiln 2/3 full, and then I'm completely out of work to fill it. And I'm like, well, damn. I mean, I guess you figure that out over time. You definitely do. Over how many kilns you load, you're like, I know how much is going to fit in this kiln.
Yeah.
Or about. You have a pretty good estimate. And, if you need to, get the most important pieces in there first.
Yep.
If don't wait to get these big serving bowls in there when you're like, okay, I'll get them in later. And then you try and load them in there and you're like, shit, there's a thermocouple right in the way. I can't put it in that shelf.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, well, get that in first, take care of it, and then onward.
You know what's funny is that I think that my like real life superpower is the ability to load a kiln to the piece. Like I will glaze all the pieces and I look at the shelf and I'm like, good. And then when I load the kiln, I'm like perfect. Like
Yeah.
there's no room for anything extra and I have no pieces left. That's my real life superpower.
What about your big kiln, though? I feel like, to this point, have you been filling that thing full?
Mhm.
Really?
For the most part, yeah. Like obviously there's times where it's just like some of the fancy cups and it's like one or two shelves, you know. But
Yeah.
at that point you're firing like $4,000 worth of work. So like who cares about a little bit of an empty kiln? Like you're like
I don't have that. I feel bad when I have a half shelf. I was loading the glaze kiln the other day, or yesterday, and I still had about half a shelf left. I have one piece on that last half shelf, and I was like, I can't just leave this. Like, I gotta glaze another 5 pieces to fill this kiln. I already
think
had
that-
some glazed, and I was like, okay, I gotta put this other color on, but I don't want to mix it, so I'll just save that for the next time. And then I filled the kiln, and I'm like, well, I still got half a shelf. Like, I can finish glazing these 5 pieces to fill it. So
I think that I used to feel that way, and then when I started making like really high end pieces, I was like, worth it.
well, yeah, and
Like-
your job to glaze is way different than mine. Mine's just
Yeah.
stirring up some glaze and dipping it.
Yeah. I still try to like add in a few things if I can, but yeah. Meh. I'm a lot more lax.
Do you find any resources more so with the electric kilns? Is there any different resources that you would find, or
I feel like
different
there's not a lot
issues
of
that you
resources.
have to tackle?
I feel like there's not a lot of resources for electric kilns. I think the biggest one would be to how to work the actual electric panel. And I think that there are some
yeah.
videos. There's some YouTube videos on how to actually work that. But usually when you find a program, it's pretty straightforward, you know. And your the book that comes with the kiln is helpful too. I like to read those. But you know,
And these days, if you don't
electric
have
kilns
the
are-
book, you can Google that shit, and you can go to Scott's
Yeah.
website and find the owner's manual, or go to L&L, and some of them have videos showing the point and click of how to do it. And then a lot of them these days have the same controller. Like if it's a Bartlett controller, it's a standard controller that's used on many different kilns.
yeah.
So there's definitely cross pollination of resources that you could find. If you got the same controller as a Scut, or I don't think Scut's the same, but let's say
Scott's different than everybody else. but
let's say an old L&L and
Is a
Olympic,
Bartlett.
they have the same Bartlett controller.
yeah.
So the settings are the same.
I found also, I'm going to link this to, the Ceramic Arts Network has a really good article on 10 basic firing techniques.
Okay. Yeah, I would say finding out how to do a custom program is pretty good.
Yeah, and when you want to do a custom program, like you can just Google setting up a custom program in a kiln. And
Well, it's going to vary
Whatcha?
depending on the controller, but
YouTube has Programming a Kiln for Beginners from Amico. Easy.
there you go. And I think Amico's is the same as what, Scott?
No. They're Bartlett. Nope, they're Scott. Same as Scott.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, same as Scott. I think the Amico kilns are built by Scott, and they're just
Yeah, and they're just rebranded.
yeah. Yeah, and then there's even the Bartlett Genesis Mini programming.
Why do you
That's,
care
like, a little bit
about
down.
a custom program? Why does it matter? Why would you
Custom
need it?
programs are good for when you need custom solutions.
Do you use a
like-
custom program for yours, and like which one, a bisque firing or a glaze firing?
I use a custom program for my bisque,
Okay.
not for my glaze. But I have a friend who uses a custom program for their glaze and not for their bisque. So I use a custom program for my bisque, and that's on my Instagram under firing schedule. And there's also a decal firing schedule there. And you use that bisque program too, right?
I used the one from Josh, yeah.
Yeah. It's from Josh.
Heim, JH Pottery Works.
Yeah, and I think a bajillion people use it, honestly. And it's good for pushing out the iron in the darker clays. So,
the main reason that I would recommend the custom program is instead of just using the out of the box slow bisque, for instance, you can change it based on how wet or dry your pieces are. So if your pieces are super dry and you're not worried about them blowing up, then you can do the custom program and change the amount of time to hold. I mean, you might be able to do that with a preheat. I think you could probably do slow bisque and then you do a preheat and just change the preheat amount. Is that how it works?
Yeah, you can. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can do that, or you can do the custom one and then I just save it. I think I'm using the user settings, and I just do user 1 is my bisque for the first firing, and then user 2 is my custom program for my glaze. So that's the second one for the second firing. Like, I just use custom for both, actually.
I do a slow glaze. Sometimes I do fast if I'm in a hurry, but I do most of the time I do slow. Okay. A slow glaze.
We've talked about this before. Why would you care about slow, medium, fast on the glaze? We've already talked about the bisque, but...
Right. You should always do a slow bisque, regardless. We all agree on this. We differ in our firings of slow or fast on our glaze firings. I do a slow. Ryan does a fast. I don't
do a fast anymore. I do like a medium.
Okay, still. A medium.
I haven't done a fast in like a year, Becca.
Awesome. I love it.
I learned
this. So I do slow because a kiln is just like any other electronic function. It's, if you push it to its max, it's going to wear out a lot faster. So we do slow firings so that the elements stay longer and we can get a little bit more wear and tear out of them. Yeah.
I'm sure there's some differences in the total, like, I think it also came to the end of the firing where if you held like a fast firing, the heat might have dispersed and got more even if you didn't do a fast.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm sure that the heat disperses a little bit better. Also, I like to do a preheat in my glaze firing. So I'll do a regular slow glaze, but then I add a 30-minute preheat or a 1-hour preheat to that glaze, because I've found, I won't do it if I'm doing like stroke and coats or something like that, but I've found that if I'm doing regular glazes, just because I glaze and then throw it right into the kiln immediately,
and those you're dipping those glazes.
I'm dipping those glazes,
regular glazes. Yeah.
And I put them in the kiln like when they're almost wet, and it helps with drying out those pieces, and it helps with crawling. It doesn't crawl as much if I do a preheat. Yeah.
Okay.
Also,
yeah, I used to do fast, and then you hold, and okay, we're about to have a cat fight on my lap here.
Also, we didn't mention this, but we should mention this. I know we're a fucking broken record, but if you're gonna buy a kiln, or especially if you have a cone 8 kiln and you're firing to cone 6, you should be firing on slow. And that's because your cone 8 kiln isn't spec'd to go to cone 6 all the time. Even though it says it's cone 8, that doesn't mean it performs its best at cone 8. That is technically a low fire kiln, and it should be like cone 2 and down, essentially. So,
Is this like a ceramics industry, like companies selling clay that are 6 to 10 range, but it's not really?
pretty much. Fucking A. So, if you think about it like your car, if your car's max speed is 200 miles an hour, you can't expect to drive at 180 miles an hour and not run out of gas immediately.
If
or
you don't
your
kill
car
yourself
dies
first.
immediately. It's the same thing with a kiln. Your elements are your gas. So go slow.
Conserve your gas, or your elements are
Conserve your
going to run
gas.
out.
I've never done the comparison of gas. But that is a good comparison for sure. My dad's always like, make sure you put cruise control at 55 miles an hour because that's the best, most economically, like
Optimal for your
optimal
engine
for your
or something.
fuel tank.
Or your fuel, yeah.
Now that I
You're
have
like,
this
"Yeah,
van,
Dad."
I'm like, ugh, God. Now that I have this van, I used to love Utah and be like going 80 miles an hour, like, get it. Now that I have this van, I'm like 10 below, 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, we were coasting pretty slow on there.
I drive like a hardcore grandma now. I'm like, no, thank you. You can pass me.
That's just because you're driving a gas guzzler now with that van, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I have everything in here.
Right.
Yeah.
And 2 other lives in there with you, so... Well, maybe
Yeah.
18 other lives. I don't know how many they've got left, but...
No, Lloyd's got like 1 left. There's no fucking way. He has got 9 lives left. There's... It's like today, I was going to get a container to put the cat food in, and Tiana, Andrew's sister, was like, you should get glass because the plastic is bad for the cats. And I looked at her and I was like, Lloyd eats bleach. She's like, never mind.
Fair enough. Are there some, have there been any talks about kilns or firings and whatnot at some of the conferences we've been to? I feel like there was one at the ClayCon West we did before.
There was.
With the
There was one
lapellas?
at... Yeah, it was the lapellas. It was the first ClayCon West we did. It was the second ClayCon West ever. And they did a fun little talk about kilns. And they said something that I learned at that conference, and it is this. You should not be locking your lids to your kilns, like clamping them down. You know how sometimes it has like a little clasp that you can lock it down? And the reason you shouldn't be doing that is because the kiln, when it's heating up and cooling down, the lid is expanding and contracting, and if you lock it down, it's not able to move, and then you can get a lot more cracks that way, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the clamp is for when you're just not using it?
I think it's for kids, honestly.
Oh,
I think
for
they
safety
have it.
purposes.
Yeah. For safety purposes. So like when you're in schools and stuff, you can close it. And I mean, obviously those are those are special circumstances that obviously you should have the lock on the kiln.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Don't open this.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. I didn't know that. I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense, but...
Yeah, it was a fun little tidbit I learned at their speech.
Okay.
So,
How much of a... we kind of got off topic there, but how much does it matter when you're looking at kilns when you're buying them? Like, how much damage can bricks take? Are they... Like, when do you change them? When does it matter? Like, how much of an effect does that have? I've had some shitty bricks, but I'm curious. Because some people are probably looking at kilns out there, and I'm curious.
I don't think I know the answer to that.
I mean, the main thing that I'm thinking about is just the sagging of the elements. If there's, bricks that are half broken off and the elements aren't even supported, That's when it's
Yeah.
definitely an
I would
issue.
be concerned about that. Yeah.
And you can't just stick pins in there to like hold up the element.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but it's probably not gonna do its job for many firings.
P.S. If you have to get pins for your kilns to do elements, get the ones that are U-shaped. They're the shit.
Or get
And
an
the
L
reason
and you don't need the pins.
Or get an L and L and you don't need the pins. But if you do need the pins, get the ones that are U-shaped. I think they're the generic brand or whatever. And if you don't have that option, bend them. Don't put a fucking pin in straight. It makes no sense. Bend it. Put it around the element. Put it into the brick.
Yeah, I've had some. I think one of the first kilns I got, the bricks were just shit. You know, when you get the kilns that are in sections, and they they've been transported so much, and you pick it up and it bows a little bit, it ovals a little bit when you pick it up because it's not so tight, the band's not so tight, and you're not so careful with it.
Yeah.
So that the bricks get chunked off and you drop it, or you probably don't drop it, but something happens to it and it gets bumped, or
it's always that like
out.
when you get a brand new kiln, which you haven't experienced yet, but when you do, it's always that first like nick that you get into it and you're like, fuck. like it's so depressing. And then the next one you're like, whatever.
I had that when I was vacuuming out one of the kilns. I think you had the vacuum hose and I was stretching it and it grazes over the soft brick and it like sands it down a little bit. You're like, oh no.
Yeah, or when you get brand new kiln shelves and then you knock the top of them onto something, you're like, ah! It's the worst.
Oh no. Yeah.
Same with thermocouples. When you get a brand new thermocouple and your shelf accidentally hits it, like, fuck me. Just... There's nothing worse in this life than that. It's just like, are you fucking kidding me? That's like like when I bought this van, I was like, watch, I'm gonna drive home and somebody's gonna fucking hit me.
Would you get mad if I was gonna say a golf cart, if like a shopping cart like came and bumped into it or something like?
No, I wouldn't care.
Okay.
I'm not that type of person. It's funny because there's a lot of like people in the van life thing that's like, it's super hard to cut a hole in your van, and I'm like, okay, just cut a fucking hole. Like, it's just a van, I think that
if you can drill a 4-inch hole through cement wall to put a vent in, you can drill through the side of a van.
Well, and people are like, so they're like, it's a brand new van, I don't want to cut into it, and I'm like, yeah, but it's meant to, like, that's what you got to do,
Just be confident about the cut that you're making. Like,
you're right,
don't
you have
just
to be
do this
confident
on a whim, because you can't put that hole back. You can't fill that hole back up very easily.
Measure thrice, cut twice. But yeah, I think that I wouldn't care. I don't care. I already got stickers on it. But yeah, I'm the same with kilns too. It's like once the first nick happens, I'm like, fuck it. Yeah, it's all downhill from here.
Does the brick condition factor in too much when you're trying to get one? If it's
early on, I won't get a kiln that's shitty bricks. I get nice brick kilns if I'm gonna have to buy used.
Is that because you've had to replace bricks before and it fucking sucked?
No, I've never had to replace a brick before. I have had to dismantle a kiln, and that was horrible. But I haven't had to replace a brick, and that's because I'm very good to my things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've had to replace bricks. It's not... I've done it in the manual kiln and the Olympic kiln.
Yeah.
Probably kind of for peace of mind. The part with the Olympic that was hard is you gotta... If they don't fit perfectly, it's a used kiln, so the new brick is not the exact same size as the old brick.
Yeah.
Because it's been used and wore down. So you got to do the sanding and make sure it fits, and then if it was on the top, so the lid has to shut, and then if it's where the brackets are, the brackets have to fit back on right, and it's a fucking mess.
I'll tell you what though, when you guys are getting new kilns, if you can get away with not having to take them apart to move them, do that. Because taking a kiln apart and putting it back together, although it's a very good learning lesson, is a pain in the royal ass. Especially cone arts. Like, wow. Never. Scuts are okay.
Getting it through the doorway is tough, though, right? I mean, if
Getting
you can't get it through a doorway, that's tough. But if you're in an out building like a garage, hey,
yeah,
maybe rent that truck, rent the U-Haul truck or van, and you're like, I can make it work with
trailer.
This. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. Move the whole kiln in one piece if you can. Don't take it apart. Because putting it back together, it's never the same. The easiest one is scut. They just clip right back together, and the top isn't that hard.
Okay.
The cone art is connected to the cone art's lid is connected to the top two sections.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to like unscrew the back of the lid from the sections.
The L&L's like that too.
Sorry, that's the
Sorry,
worst.
L&L. I had to do that, but it was used, so the screw. This kiln's probably never been moved or almost never been moved, and then the screws get corroded.
That's the worst.
But
yeah,
we'll figure it out. Mine'll be the floor model at Ensika.
Yay!
I think so.
And we can move it in the van.
We can in the van, or he was asking about my vehicle. I don't know if it would stand up in the Transit. Would it stand straight up in the Transit, you think?
No, I think that we should move it in this van.
Okay. Yeah, we can just open that side door and just pop it in there.
Plug it right in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? I think we went over a lot.
No, and I think that I know it's really a simple answer, but Google that shit and YouTube. Because when it comes to kilns, there's not really a wrong way. When you're throwing, there's a lot of different ways to do things. That's not the way kilns are. like, it's usually pretty across the board.
It's kind of, if you're not sure, take pictures of what you're seeing it and put it back the way that you saw it, kind of thing. That should be pretty standard that if something was working and then it's not working, take photos as you open doors and all that stuff, and just, if you need to go the tape route and tape little things on the wires to say this wire matches with this wire and all that. And I'm sure there's some local places that offer kiln tech services. I think Queen City Clay offers that. I'm sure there's some other studios near you that offer those services. I mean, you're going to pay them for it. You're going to pay a good amount for it because they don't want to make house calls to fix kilns. But if you're more comfortable paying somebody that knows exactly what they're doing, you could do that. But
yeah,
I think we're all about empowering people to figure it out on their own. And you can make
That's
it work.
what we are.
Yeah.
We're empowering.
Plus, I don't want to spend the money to do that, so.
Yeah, no thank you.
We forgot to record on Skype, but.
Damn it, I could have sat in my chair. I could have laid back in my chair. Fuck. Oh, that's okay.
That's all right.
Cool.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. And
Thanks.
we will catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Yo, higgity yo. It's Becca here. Hey, just so you know, thank you for listening. And also, we have... What do we have again? A Patreon. We have a Patreon that you should go, and if you want to donate to, you could donate to it. If you don't, that's cool too. But just Google Wheel Talk Podcast Patreon. Don't do the other one. because there is a Wheel Talk on Patreon, but it's not us. So make sure you get the right one. It's in the show notes. And also, leave us a review because they're fun to read. Okay, bye!